Okay, first of all, let me say I've only had 3 hours sleep last night. And like many of you, I have late-stage Lyme disease, so if something doesn't come out quite right, you'll know why. Is this thing working or am I losing it? And it's all written down, so don't mind me for a minute. Oh, for starters, first of all, if you see that big bumblebee flying around me, please do let me know so I can swat it. I wanted to show everyone this collage with 200 people who wanted to be here that couldn't make it also. And first off, I wanted to thank everyone for coming out today. As you know, I'm Paul Mall, and many of you know me from our Lyme support group on Facebook. We are here today to raise awareness about late-stage persistent Lyme disease. And it's awfully hot up here right now, seriously, but glad I had a lot of Powerade, so I shouldn't drop. I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but I do suffer from late-stage persistent Lyme infection, and like many of you, was forced to research the subject when my illness was ignored by the medical community, or system, I should say. I'm not even reading what I wrote. Same thing. Today, I will be sharing with you some of what I learned about Lyme disease and my thoughts on what we need to do moving forward. I have included the information I feel is important to be as brief as possible. To make things easier, I will be using the term Lyme disease to define late-stage persistent Borrelia infection and co-infections, including babesiosis, Bartonella, and related infections. I will start by talking about Lyme disease. 300,000 people will be infected with Lyme disease in 2011. Yet, only 10% will be reported to the CDC because of testing inaccuracy and lack of reporting. Many of those infected will not be diagnosed properly, which leads into late-stage infection. Lyme testing is only up to 50% accurate. Yet doctors use these tests to rule out Lyme disease. Lyme disease is more prevalent than AIDS and West Nile combined, yet does not get just attention. Lyme disease is also called the Great Intimidator because so many of its symptoms mimic other diseases. And many of those infected with Lyme disease will be misdiagnosed with a disease for which there is no known cause, including chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, ALS, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and many more. Others who are not properly diagnosed will receive many surgeries, such as gallbladder removals, to treat a symptom. And when this does not help and they continue to have pain, they are given up on by their doctors and said to be making it up. Many of those infected with Lyme disease will become disabled and unable to work or bedridden. They will fight for years to get disability benefits because late-stage Lyme disease is being ignored by the medical system. Lyme disease infects every organ system of the body, including the heart and the brain, and can be fatal. Many of those with Lyme experience brain fog and Lyme rage, causing problems at work and with the family life. Lyme disease is known to be transmitted through the bite of a tick and passed from mother to child at birth. And there are also studies indicating it can be transmitted sexually. Entire families are infected with Lyme, causing extreme emotional and financial burden. Many must choose who is in most need of treatment because they cannot afford to treat the entire family when insurance refuses to cover the appropriate treatments. Some who do not understand Lyme disease may label us as lazy, when in reality, we desperately want to be productive people again. It is absurd to think we would choose to be bedridden. If they could only feel our pain for a day, they would understand. And I would not wish this disease on my worst enemy. I'm going to list the top 17 symptoms according to our support group's poll online on Facebook, actually. And I want to encourage everyone to get involved in this part here, even though I'm not even looking at anybody today. So, feel free to raise your hand or give me a yeah if you might have one of these most common 17 symptoms I'm about to read off. And they're as follows, starting from the most common to the least. Fatigue is number one. Brain fog. That's all. That's it. Just 3 of you. Joint pains. Memory loss. Balance issues. I'm getting ready to fall off the stage here. Neck pain. Muscle twitching. Headaches. Insomnia. Who else had 3 hours sleep last night? That wasn't on here, I'm adding that. Vision floaters. A couple of you, I know that. Muscle weakness, mood swings, all over body pain, heart palpitations, deep bone pain, and we'll end with air hunger. And while I've got you all interacting with me, I just have 2 more questions for the audience. And I wanted to see how many of you have passed Lyme on to 1 or more of your children. And how many have more than one in their family with Lyme? Okay. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about the medical side of Lyme disease. And what many do not know is that testing is only 40% accurate, and doctors will rule out using just one of these inaccurate tests, even though the CDC agrees that Lyme should be a clinical diagnosis based upon symptoms and history of possible exposure. If you are one of the lucky ones who does test positive in early infection, it is possible for 3 weeks of antibiotics to cure your disease. But if you are like most who are not diagnosed due to inaccurate tests and move on to late-stage disease, it is much harder to treat. There are 2 groups of doctors treating Lyme disease, as was mentioned a minute ago, and we're going to call them Camp A and Camp B because I stole that from a little seminar I went to. Camp A, the first group of doctors, believes that a month course of antibiotics is all you need, and if your symptoms remain, it is not Lyme disease but something else. The other group of Lyme literate doctors, Camp B, recognize Lyme disease for what it is, a persistent infection that once in the late stage will require long-term therapy. Camp A doctors avoid diagnosing and treatment of Lyme disease because of the controversy it brings. Many doctors are aware of persistent Lyme disease but choose to avoid it because of pressure from the IDSA and the medical boards. Doctors need to make a risk versus benefit decision. This is kind of going somewhere else with it, but bear with me. Doctors need to make a risk versus benefit decision when treating any medical condition. So if you have Lyme disease, which can be fatal, Camp A doctors may argue you should not treat with long-term antibiotics because of the risks. But if you happen to have a serious condition such as acne, then this would be okay. Because of the growing need, did you guys miss that? You guys missed that, right? If you have acne, then it's okay. Because of the growing need for long-term treatment for Lyme disease, laws have been put into place to protect doctors who treat Lyme disease with long-term antibiotics in Connecticut, Rhode Island, California, and Massachusetts. And I may be missing some, but that's all I found when I did a little research, so there's probably a couple more. Although these laws are in place, the Camp A doctors still avoid Lyme diagnosis and treatment because of pressure from the IDSA, insurance companies, and their medical boards. Many patients with late-stage persistent Lyme disease are forced to find Lyme-literate doctors willing to treat their infections and often have to travel cross-country and pay for treatment out of pocket because the insurance companies refuse to pay for long-term treatment beyond a month, as mentioned in the IDSA guidelines. As I mentioned earlier, when entire families have Lyme, it is commonplace for them to have to choose which family member is in the most need of treatment because insurance refusing to help them. Camp B Lyme-literate doctors treat late-stage Lyme disease with long-term therapies. Many do get symptom relief and are able to get to work and back off disability and become functional again. But an overwhelming percentage of these patients, more than 90%, will eventually relapse and there currently is no cure for late-stage Lyme disease in 90% of the patients. But can't be Lyme literate doctors do their best to keep these infections at manageable levels. And I want to thank each and every one of these Lyme doctors for putting patients first. Something is truly wrong with the medical system when veterinarians are better trained at treating Lyme disease than our physicians. What I think is most important for us at this point is research, because we have no cure for late-stage Lyme. We need research to find one. Millions of dollars go into research for chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, ALS, Parkinson's, all conditions which are often caused by undiagnosed Lyme disease. Yet there is next to no funding going into research for finding a cure for late-stage Lyme disease that can cause all of these and many more medical conditions of today. We need to recognize Lyme disease for what it is, a persistent infection that there is no cure for, and get moving with research before the entire population is infected with this deadly disease. And I just got breaking news that somebody pulled a tick off of Tracy over here. I didn't want to say it in the beginning because you would all run off and not listen to my speech, but there's ticks here in the park. I want to thank everybody for coming here and supporting the cause. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Next up, we've got our committee member, Josh Cutler, who was very instrumental in getting this going. Actually, it was great. It was kind of strange how things happened, but immediately after Josh is done at 3 o'clock, we have a permitted use of the sidewalk in front of the White House for picketing. There are some specific rules that go with this, and we will address those as soon as Josh is done with his piece. So let's give it up for Josh Cutler. Thank you.
How's everybody doing? Bad question, right? Appreciate everybody coming out today. I know it's hot. I know a lot of you guys came pretty long way. You know, we came from South Carolina. I was bit in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC. Right now, even just standing up here, it's hard, lightheaded. To be honest with you, I'm super anxious. One of my main concerns and biggest issues with Lyme, and I'm sure there's a lot out there, is the psychological effects that it has, the anxiety, the agoraphobia, everything like that. But you know, my Lyme story reads typically just like everybody else's. You know, I saw close to 40 doctors, been to the ER 43 times, been inpatient for anxiety, was told that I was making myself sick. Needless to say, I was sick and felt like I was dying. Most doctors said it was in my head and that I focused on my anxiety and I made myself sick. Basically, when I got sick, I was 26 and was a senior network engineer, had a great career, great house, everything was great, and life just came crashing down. And I tried to explain that to everybody around me, that you know, I wouldn't just give all this up for no reason. So right now where I'm at is pretty much where you guys are, broke and trying to pay for treatment. But because of current guidelines that are crooked and, you know, that need to be reformed, our insurance companies aren't picking it up. We're putting $40,000 to $50,000 out for treatment. I mean, realistically, can the average American afford that when they've already gone through bankruptcy because of their condition? I mean, realistically. Right now, I just wanted to take a second to remember Erin Spillers. I don't know if you guys knew her on Facebook, is Lizzie Lyme. She lost her life about 3 years ago. She was a dear friend of mine. She died of cardiac failure, was getting better, was very optimistic, but in the end didn't have the money for treatment. So she died from heart failure and, you know, was left unignored by her doctors. Basically, the medical community did not only fail her, but they failed me, bankrupt me, and it's all due to incorrect guidelines that need to be reformed. I know that I'm physically sick. You know, 80% of the time I'm stuck in bed. I mean, after this event, as I'm sure most of you guys are, I'm gonna crash, and I'm gonna crash hard. All that we ask is that people listen and help us spread the awareness, that family support us in whatever way that we feel needs supported. It's a very hard disease to deal with, and like they said earlier on, suicide is the #1 killer of Lyme patients, followed by cardiac failure. Another thing that's kind of out there, and this is a fact that's been thrown around, and I'll stand behind it. Right now, they're saying that Lyme disease is 7 times faster growing than HIV in this country right now, and that's an alarming fact. But anyway, again, like I just wanted to say, I'm super anxious. Sorry I'm up here. Is I wanted to make note of Erin Spillers, and that she rests in peace, and that her memory is not forgotten. And we're here, and we're not going away till we get proper testing, proper guidelines, and ultimately a cure. Thanks, guys. Thank you everybody for coming out, for everybody that helped set up.